G'day, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at inflating and deflating Presta valves, which are these guys. Commonly known as race valves, Presta valves have the advantage of having a slightly thinner stem than other types of valves, which means that the rim can be made stronger because the hole inside the rim is smaller and less likely to sort of crack out and damage the rim through having a hole that's too big. First step to deflating a Presta valve, also known as a French valve, is opening the little screw in the end. And if you're going to be pumping this, you just give it a little push, just so that the valve opens up. Sometimes they can get, there's a little bit of rubber, gasket material on here, and that can stop the air being able to push down if that rubber has sort of stuck to the metal. So you always want to give a little push. And for deflation, you just And for this example, I haven't got the ring or anything around the Presta valve to make it slightly harder to inflate. When you are encountering a totally flat Presta valve, especially on like a deep dish carbon wheel where you might not have a whole lot of extra room, it can help when you're trying to inflate it to push on the bottom of the tyre, just to give you a bit more valve to get onto. In this example here, it's really easy to go into because it's just a shallow dish Mavic Open Pro wheel, and yeah, very easy to get a pump on with this type of setup. And when you're done either deflating or inflating a Presta valve, you always want to return the little screw back to its locked position where it's locked the valve out, which means that no air can get in or out of that valve with that setup. Now onto inflation. So the tyre's totally flat in this case. So what we're going to want to do is open up the little valve and make sure this is free. And then this is all design fitting, so this one screws on. Some of them slide on and sort of lock. However you do it, you just want to make sure that this tubing is coming in nice and straight onto the valve, not all crooked and on an angle, because you can damage the valve really easily. And in this case, just keep screwing until it stops, until it sort of bottoms out in the valve, and that means that this section is locked onto that, and it's ready to pump. With some of those like push-on types, it can be necessary to hold that out while you're applying it down, otherwise the valve will just push away and you won't get where you want it to be. On the side of your tyre, there's going to be a pressure recommendation. In the case of this tyre, it's 2 to 6 bar or 30 to 90 psi. Always want to double check that your tyres are within the range that you want to pump them to, and that your wheels are compatible with that pressure as well. In this case, I don't pump them up very often, so I usually put about 80 psi in there. And when you're done, it's just a matter of removing the valve, removing the pump head. And then screwing the little fastener back on. It's worth noting that Presta valves do come with valve caps. They're really only for packaging to stop this little sharp edge on the end from puncturing the tube. Although if you are running a tubeless setup, you may wish to keep one on there, just because if you get a bit of sticky sealant out the end of it, then that's going to attract dust, whereas this is not a sealant filled tube or tyre, so it doesn't need a valve cap. This is perfectly sealed to the environment.